minus 9 minutes. Minus 8 minutes. Minus 7 minutes. Minus 6 minutes. Minus 5 minutes. 3 minutes. T-minus 2 minutes. T-minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. A whole lot of how about that. Welcome to the RP Show, everybody. Don't adjust your sets or your radios. For those that are listening on WQVC, I'm in a new location. You can't see it, but just trust me. Brand new week, episode 1803 of your favorite daytime sports talk show. Ta-da! You like what I've done with the place? Mitchell Scruffy Blair is with me, and he will be in seconds, and coming up in hour two, Khalil Carter will be joining us. NFL, CFL Alumnus, a player, CFL coach. He's coming up in hour two. Hello, Mitchell. Welcome to Vancouver.
Is housekeeping going to disturb you over the next 2 hours? Do you have the do not disturb sign on the door?
Dagnabbit, no.
Is there a mitt on your
Are you
pillow?
prepared? Are you ready to take over? Okay, just be prepared, Mitchell. I'm in downtown Vancouver, which by the way, when's the last time you were in downtown Vancouver?
Vancouver?
Last time downtown Vancouver.
It's been many years since I've been in downtown Vancouver. When I used to do the play-by-play for the Rams, we used to stay in Richmond. So I haven't been to downtown Vancouver for quite a while, but I've been to Vancouver, if you know what I mean, like within the last couple of years. So
Yeah. Well, it's good. It's good. It's changed a little bit, but it's fun. They've been great to us, and we're ready to talk ball. Those are the guests. Let's get down to business. And I'll tell you something. You and I need to get into this a little later, not here, but the benefits of shows like this, live streaming, live television, podcasts are great, but there's breaking news out of the Canadian Football League today.
Yeah.
Nobody else is talking about it across the land, so we got the opportunity to be the first. The Ottawa Redblacks, 0-10, have hired Jim Popp as senior football advisor. That was announced this morning. Nobody broke that news. The team announced it themselves. The 6-time Grey Cup champion, very close friend of mine, Jim Popp's gone to Ottawa. I got to tell you right now, I didn't see that coming. How about you?
I'll be honest with you, Roddy. I didn't know where Jim Popp was nowadays, and I know that that you and him were close friends. But I had that name was sort of off my radar until I saw it this morning. I didn't know what he was doing, if he was still involved with football in some capacity. Of course, I think all CFL fans know what a tremendous job he did with both the Montreal Alouettes and the Baltimore Stallions. On the surface, it looks like a good move for Ottawa, but we're just seeing, another week, another loss. Who gets thrown overboard? And yesterday it was Sean Burke. Hopefully Jim Popp can bring some stability in there. I know in my column on yours on Saturday, I talked about maybe Jeff Hunt needs to come back, and I know you touched upon that this morning. I don't know what is going on in Ottawa. I know you've talked to some people. Henry Burris was one of them. But it's not good there, and they need to get something happening. It's obviously not going to happen this year as far as that team making the playoffs, but they need to do something to get football relevant again back in Ottawa, or else this talk of Quebec City, Halifax, Kelowna might be negated by another Ottawa removal.
Wouldn't that be something if they went under? Yeah. Well, okay, so last week, it was later in the week after you'd adjourned, but we had the poll question, is this the worst CFL team of all time, Ottawa? I voted no, and no won the poll. They're on the way to being that at 0-10, Mitch. They're only the 9th team in CFL history to be 0-10. And you kind of covered it all. They opened week 12 on Thursday night, getting mollywopped in Montreal 46-16. Let's see, they fired coaches, they fired star players, they reshuffled the president, like they're doing everything, and nothing's changed. So you ask about Jim Popp. The most recent job for him was the director of player personnel with the UFL. I'm going to be personally, I don't even know what that league's called anymore, and I think he was still there. But this is a better job for Jim doing this than that. But here's the thing. You may remember, Alan Ford in the early 2000s was brought in for this type of role with Hamilton on simply an interim basis. It wasn't a full-time. You know what I mean? And I don't know if this is a full-time thing for Jim. My guess is it might be, but my guess is that he just brought in as an outside guy to put out the fire a little bit, because I don't even know where you would start with that football team. But I think we can all agree, this is a great move. 6-time Grey Cup champion. It's a start. And the poll question, by the way, the poll question for EMJ Marketing today is, will Jim Popp save the Red Blacks? I voted no. I'm sorry. I had to vote no. It's going to take more than Jim. How are you voting on that?
Yeah, on the surface, this looks to be a good move. Let's see what Jim does with this team. I know that you and I think it was last week, it may have been a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about what Ryan Dinwiddie's future will be. And I heard something on the weekend that said, like, Ottawa, after the Sean Burke removal, they've used up both of their mulligans now. So does this mean that Dinwiddie stays, or else they pay a big
can't be fired?
I can't remember how all that works. So they've got to do something. And I just don't. It starts with the quarterback, Rod, as it does with every team in every league. By the way, good morning, Cleveland.
They have announced Deshaun Watson will be their week 1 start. Yeah.
Yeah, good morning, Cleveland. How about that press conference on Saturday?
Good night, Cleveland. How about good night, Cleveland? I don't know who you get
as a quarterback. Like, you need a young guy. And there's no young guy out there. And I don't see BC trading Nathan Rourke. I don't see Calgary trading Vernon Adams Jr. Trevor Harris isn't going to go back there at the age of 41. Like, I don't know what they do, Rod. I really don't.
Well,
I think they have to find a hotshot young quarterback south of the border and get him up here.
I guess that's the point. To say, will he save the Red Blacks? Not this year.
No.
Maybe eventually. They're way past that. By the way, we're going to pause here in a moment. From the audience, Vancouver Eric writes in. He says, "Good morning. How was your SkyTrain experience, RP? Thanks, Rider Nation, for filling my stadium." I'll get to that after the break. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, "Without a quarterback, Jim Popp can do very little." And that is a fact. With regards to the Red Blacks folding potentially, Rich in Edmonton says, "My source in Ottawa says they wouldn't be building a new stands for the stadium without the owners being committed long term." So, yeah, I don't think they were. I appreciate John in Edmonton for saying, "Hey, Rod Mitchell, NHL's Bill Daly says expansion in Houston or Austin could play by 2029 in the NHL." I didn't have that written down, but I do want to talk about that. And the Oilers, you see Leon Draisaitl is in Germany at home, and the NHL is doing a European media tour, and Leon said how excited they are to play for Mike Babcock. I don't know how much of that article you read or saw that interview, Mitch, but we'll get into all of that. Blue Jays, NFL, Khalil Carter is coming up in hour 2. We'll be back in a moment. The text line is open for Western Dodge, 902-518-3033. Again, 902-518-3033 or the streaming chat. Jim Popp, hired by the Red Blacks today. We'll be right back on the RP Show.
In today's fast-paced world, we know you don't always have time to cook a nutritious meal. The Mad Greek in Moose Jaw's got you covered with delicious takeout and delivery specials, even for large groups or occasions. Authentic Greek cuisine, pizza, ribs, and more. There's something for everyone to enjoy. Offering licensed dining, delivery, and their takeout window is open to get your Greek to go. For more information and to view the online menu, visit themadgreekeatery.com.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
In today's fast-paced world, we know you don't always have time to cook a nutritious meal. The Mad Greek in Moose Jaw's got you covered with delicious takeout and delivery specials, even for large groups or occasions. Authentic Greek cuisine, pizza, ribs, and more. There's something for everyone to enjoy. Offering licensed dining, delivery, and their takeout window is open to get your Greek to go. For more information and to view the online menu, visit themadgreekeatery.com.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection, booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Welcome back, everybody. Ta-da! Live from Vancouver. I'll be honest with you, I don't hate it. I kind of like it. The RP show airing from the West Coast today. Hello to all our West Coast fans. BC Lions tuning in as well. By the way, Mitch, we got big news. Pump Jacks Cathedral, Pump Jacks Weyburn have renewed as our pick sponsor for another year. They're loving what our viewers are doing for them. Pump Jack Steakhouse and Saloon. Come early, stay early at the place where friends meet. Pump Jack Saloon. The breaking news today from the CFL, Jim Popp has been added by the Ottawa Red Blacks as VP, Senior Advisor of Football Operation. Speaking of picks, Mitch and I both went 4-0. Let's get to the games. We picked all the home teams to win, Mitch, and that happened. Montreal beat Ottawa 46-16. A wild one Friday night. Edmonton over Winnipeg 22-19 and a walk-off field goal by Vincent Blanchard. Argos motorboated Hamilton 39-20 at BMO. And then last night, BC beat Sask 30-16 here at BC Place. Thank you, Lions, for hosting us. And people saying it's the worst Rider game in years. I just got a text from a coach that said that was the best Nathan Rourke's ever looked, Mitch. How do you feel about that?
I thought Nathan Rourke played very well last night.
Yeah.
I thought Trevor Harris struggled again. And I know some people are starting to ask some questions about Trevor Harris, and I'm like, Samuel Amelis was back, but Keane Schaefer-Baker wasn't. But the bottom line, Rod, is that this team just played stupid football last night. Like, very undisciplined penalties. They had the touchdown taken away, and it was a clear no yards call. You could see that. They had, the hold on, I think it was Hardrick, on the Conley touchdown. That was a hold. But yet I still see people, it doesn't matter if it's Facebook, Twitter, whatever. The refs screwed us. They screwed us again. Rod, I am so sick of that excuse. The Riders, obviously the Riders must be a team that they're so good that they would have been unbeaten over the last 30 years if it wasn't for the refs. And they're not the only fan base that does that. But, I didn't see Winnipeg fans complaining about the refs in the Edmonton game. I didn't see Hamilton fans complaining about the refs in their game. Can we please come up with maybe just, I don't know, maybe some reality and go, our team didn't play very well last night.
What did Mace say after? I didn't see. What did Mace? I didn't see what he said because I don't really listen. He's probably the most honest coach in football. Did you see what Corey Mace said after? Because I did not.
I didn't see the Corey Mace newser last night, but it didn't sound like. I think he just said we've got to be smarter. I saw a little snippet, but I haven't heard the whole thing. They were bad last night. I'm sorry. You can't sugarcoat it. They were undisciplined, and they were bad. They had some costly turnovers at the wrong time. I take a look at the fumble at the end of the first half. And as I said, Trevor threw some bad passes last night. He threw, 2 picks? But there could have been 4 or 5.
Well, it was vintage. It was vintage. It's not vintage. There's no vintage Nathan Rourke, but he just played. Rourke played very well. I'll say this about Trevor Harris. It would have been It would have been very, very hard for Trevor Harris to stay at the pace he was at. Okay, he was playing the best football of his career up for the first half of the season. Right. So the last couple, he backed off a little bit. It's funny you talk about the turnovers. I was sitting with Janice. She says, "Who fumbled it?" Because she was like, "Did he drop it?" I'm like, "Yes."
In the first half.
Yeah. Who was that?
It was one of the Johnsons. Doesn't matter. I think it was Jimmy Johnson or Jalen. No, whatever. There's too many Johnsons on that team.
Johnson and Johnson. Well, they lost the turnover battle 4-1. They lost the penalty battle 7-2. They were out quarterbacked. So forget who the personnel was. Yeah, they're AJ Ouellette seems to be the engine of that team. If he's not playing, they're a different team.
Yeah. I thought that Conley played well last night. And I thought the Riders really missed Conley in Hamilton because they went with Star Thomas, who was their RB3. But AJ Ouellette obviously is a more, helps that offense more than what Quali Conley does. And on the defense, Tavon Campbell and Roland Milligan were in there at the start of the year, and teams were torching that secondary. So is that, how big of a loss is it for those two guys? But, Roddy, this is still a good football team, and we all know that teams have lulls at certain points of the season. And I think this is what's happening with the Riders right now. And, yeah, they've got some guys that aren't healthy, and I don't know what the situation for Emilus is after he got hurt last night. But they're still in that running to be a solid chance to be repeat as Grey Cup contenders or Grey Cup champions.
Of course.
Right now,
they're second place. Right, it happens. Rob from Las Vegas writes, and he says, fans wearing paper bags over their heads never gets old. It's humorous. Tradition started in 1980 with the NFL's New Orleans Aints. I don't want to know who was wearing bags over their head on the weekend. Some people should have been that I saw at the game. Some people should have been wearing bags over their head that weren't at BC Place last night. Vancouver Eric says, Rider Nation is a passionate fan base. That's a good thing. Virginia Eric writes in, Eric from Mason Neck, Virginia. Hello. He says the Argos took care of business in the second half on Saturday. So let me walk through. We talked enough about the BC SAS game. Lions have won 4 in a row. A case is to be made. They're the hottest team in the CFL. So I went out to the Lions walkthrough on Saturday, which was great. And everybody was talking about the game the night before, the walk-off win for Edmonton over Winnipeg, Mitch, 22-19. And the guys were all saying, with the Lions, that it was a tale of two halves, and that I said I didn't see the first. I said I was on a plane. I put it on my phone. By the time I landed in Vancouver, I saw the ending, and whatever the first half was, I don't know. But that was a classic CFL ending with a good crowd. So whatever that game was, I don't know. I liked what I saw, I guess is I'm a Fajardo fan, so I was really happy.
Yeah, it was a strange game because Winnipeg came out and really controlled the first half, and they had Edmonton on their heels. And then Winnipeg stopped doing what they were doing in the first half. Like, Brady Oliveira had 100 yards rushing in the first half. He touched the ball twice in the second half. Like, Tommy Condell has to answer some serious questions as to what the HE double hockey sticks he was doing. Because, I don't know, maybe just me, when you've got arguably the best running back in the CFL running roughshod through their defense, and you're up by 16, why don't you just keep giving them the rock? But they didn't. And Edmonton found a way to chip away and get a little bit of confidence under their belt. We all know what Cody Fajardo can do. And Edmonton wins the football game.
And they look very solid. Who is it? Rich from Edmonton writes in. He says, the Riders are still the team to beat in the West, especially when healthy, in my opinion. Well, right now they're not healthy, and I don't know what the long-term status is of those guys. But Edmonton's very good. Saska's very good. BC's very good. Rob in Vegas says it was a tale of two halves. Bombers had over 300 total yards in the first half and 19 yards in the second half. Well, credit to Edmonton. At some point, people need to realize it's not just the talent, but they've got superior coaching over there, too. They really do. I mean, let's give some credit to them, and halftime adjustments are a thing. What?
Is there any doubt right now, and I know some people have said it's Jason Moss, but to me, Mark Killam's the coach of the year. And it should be hands
Probably.
down.
I hate that talk, though. I hate that talk. You know why?
I know.
Because we all had our Conn Smythe candidates planned for the first 3 rounds of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Who had Jordan Stahl ended up winning the Conn Smythe? Like, it literally ain't over until it's over.
Well,
right?
If you put a bet on him on Bet365 or something, you probably cashed in nicely.
Fair enough. By the way, the breaking news out of the CFL for those that have joined us late today, the Ottawa Redblacks have added Jim Popp as senior VP, senior football advisor. The titles don't matter. He's going to come and try and clear up the mess. And the poll question today for EMJ Marketing is, can he save the Ottawa Redblacks? I voted no. Am I putting you down as a no, Mitch?
Yeah, I just, short term, I just can't see this happening again. And as I said, I think Jim's first order of business, and as you said, he's the guy that's been evaluating players for the UFL.
Yeah.
He needs to find a quarterback that can come up to the CFL and play. And I don't know what Ottawa has on their NIG list as far as guys that might be currently playing in the UFL. I think Matt Corral, like I did mention that, Matt Corral is down there. But Matt Corral isn't a guy I don't think that's going to light the CFL on fire.
By the way,
But
from
he'd be
the
better
audience,
than what
Kirk
they
in,
got.
right, Kirk in Toronto writes in, he says, a first since the Argos moved into BMO Field in 2016 that there was a rain delay and still drew just shy of 19,000 fans on a miserable rainy night. Oh, and capacity for football is 25,000. I've been there when it's sold out, and it is an awesome place to watch football, man. BMO does not get its due.
Is it?
Bob in, well, it's deadly. Bob in
okay.
Medicine Hat. I'll take it over Hamilton any day. Bob from Medicine Hat says, hey, Rod, watching again as usual. Hope you guys had an awesome weekend. You guys have a great day. That's from Bob in Medicine Hat. Rob from Windthorst writes in. He says, Commonwealth was rocking Friday night. The Evil Empire is not back yet, but they're growing their forces week by week as Cody continues to lead the charges. I don't think we can call it the Evil Empire if Cody's quarterbacking them. I don't think there's nothing evil about it. I think the Evil Empire's dead. Not coming back.
Well,
I don't
we
want
can't
him to
call
come
them the double E extremely egregious anymore either, because that's not happening.
I don't know what to call them. Have you noticed? Have you noticed? Because you're like an Edmonton guy. You're an Oiler fan. Nobody's calling them Elks. It's all double E.
Roddy,
have you noticed?
I know people that go to the games at Commonwealth, and I know I had one of them say you should come up to the game when they were here a couple of weeks ago, or in Edmonton a couple of weeks ago. Roddy, he says that you are very hard-pressed to see the word Elks or the logo in Commonwealth Stadium.
Right.
Like, if you take a look, they used to have Edmonton Elks in the end zone. They used to have the Elks logo at midfield. It's now the double E. The helmets, he says, like, you don't see on the jersey, it says Edmonton. They're wearing the double E on their helmet. You don't see the Elks helmet. I think there was a genuine thought that when Larry Thompson took over the team, that it was just a matter of time until they dropped the Elks and went back to the Eskimos. And Larry Thompson didn't give a rat's ass how much backlash they were going to get. Then Larry, passed away. But I think there is still a movement there to get the name Eskimos back. And you can talk all you want about fans and not going to games because of the name change. I think we've seen that, if you win, they're going to come back. Will some come back? The older crowd, if they put the Eskimos name on it? Yeah, it will, but being the older demographic, that's not going to move the needle. So let's just see what happens.
You're right. I think the more they win, people will come back. But I mean, I'm not from there, so I don't know. I shouldn't speak for them. But it's funny what you say about Larry Thompson. Clearly the dude has FU money. I can tell you who also does is Amar Doman. But he doesn't have to worry about changing the name. What I will tell you was it was a wonderful experience in BC Place yesterday. And I'll get into more of that once Scruffy
I didn't see Amar Doman take a golf cart through the Rider bench like what Larry Thompson did in Calgary a couple of years ago. Remember that?
Somehow I missed that one, but that's cool. Arlen Bruce checks in. He says, great day, RP and Mr. Scruffy. RP, that thunder and lightning storm Saturday night in Vancouver was violent, wasn't it? Definitely shook up the Riders, LOL. And he says Jim Pop will turn it around. Guess what? For the first time in the history of existence, I was in bed before the sun went down Saturday night in Vancouver. I was walking past the Hyatt 6 a.m. on Sunday morning going, I used to just be getting home at this time. So, yeah, things have changed. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Is that part of the road?
One time I got a ride home from a cop car. They gave me a ride because I was lost in downtown Vancouver. Who was having coffee in the hotel? Ron Este and Alex Smith. Morning, guys. We'll be right back after this.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly, we built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away, ultimatefanzone.ca, or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
In today's fast-paced world, we know you don't always have time to cook a nutritious meal. The Mad Greek in Moose Jaw's got you covered with delicious takeout and delivery specials, even for large groups or occasions. Authentic Greek cuisine, pizza, ribs, and more. There's something for everyone to enjoy. Offering licensed dining, delivery, and their takeout window is open to get your Greek to go. For more information and to view the online menu, visit themadgreekeatery.com.
Dean, Brody, and the Reclaws teaming up for the Hometown Heroes Tour.
If there's work, you know I'm gonna work.
Live at Temple Garden Center, November 9th.
Can't blame nobody else. I can't help myself.
Two of Canada's biggest country acts. One stage, one unforgettable night on the Hometown Heroes Tour. Tickets on sale now at the Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
In today's fast-paced world, we know you don't always have time to cook a nutritious meal. The Mad Greek in Moose Jaw's got you covered with delicious takeout and delivery specials, even for large groups or occasions. Authentic Greek cuisine, pizza, ribs, and more. There's something for everyone to enjoy. Offering licensed dining, delivery, and their takeout window is open to get your Greek to go. For more information and to view the online menu, visit themadgreekeatery.com.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
It's the warm-up. It's the RP show. It's brought to you by Uniglobe Carefree Travel here in Vancouver. I met the man who runs it all out there, Neil Chark, at the game last night. We'll talk about him a little longer, but we got about a month to fill that cruise. We got to get her done. Sell her out in a month with the CFL stars, Adam Bighill, Willie Jefferson, Jake Steresnik, Kevin the Medium. Neil Chark's the man behind it. We'll be talking about that later. For those that just joined, we've spent 30 minutes on the CFL. There ain't nobody spending that amount of time across the country like we have. Jim Pop has joined Ottawa as the VP, senior football advisor. That's the time. We went through all of Week 12 of the Canadian Football League. Well, there's some other topics I need Scruffy's opinion on. Out of Cleveland today, the Browns announcing that Deshaun Watson will be the Week 1 starter. The floor is yours, Mitch. I know you have thoughts.
If you haven't seen Deshaun Watson's press conference following their game Saturday,
I saw it,
where he goes after the Cleveland Browns fan base, you need to take a listen to that. And if you're a CFL fan, imagine a Trevor Harris, or a Nathan Rourke, or a Chad Kelly, or a Zach Caleros doing that with your fan base. The Cleveland Browns should have told Deshaun Watson, and who's kidding who? That contract might be the worst contract in the history of professional sports. And I include Bobby Bonilla's contract with the Mets in that statement. Like, Cleveland is hamstrung with him, but at some point you've just got to cut the cord. And this was a perfect opportunity for the Browns to do that. But no, they're going to double down. Now, Cleveland has some talent on that team. They could win, but I don't think they will. But at the end of the day, the Cleveland Browns are a mess, but they're having a better day than Jed York in San Francisco.
He's the 49ers owner?
Yep.
Arrested today for some monkey business, more than monkey business, some serious stuff. Some serious. He's going to the...
Spent 2 days in jail, apparently.
Right. Yeah.
Why is it that we're finding out about that 2 days after it happened, but the Kyle Shanahan story was kept under wraps?
Don't get me started.
Same team.
But the thing with the Browns, by the way, just with this, to summarize what Mitch said, Deshaun Watson said after Saturday's game that he gets more love on the road than he does at home from his own fans. That's what Mitch is saying. And what I'll say on this, because we're going to move on, I believe this is the owner's decision. If it was based on...
absolutely is.
Yeah, based on the preseason play, you're starting Shamir Sanders. No doubt. Okay, the other thing, the NHL going to Texas. To be honest, I thought it might have been fake news until I had some time to look into this. No, Bill Daly said it. They'll be playing in Texas. They don't know where, Austin or Houston, by 2029. And did he allude to that or others that there might be another team in Texas? 2 teams going to Texas in the next 5 years?
No, I only heard one.
Okay.
No, I only heard one. That it was either going to be Houston or Austin. And if it's
surprised?
Austin, I hope that they get a hold of Dasha and make that song even bigger than what it was. Because then you can be washed up and live in Austin.
I got to start listening to country music.
She was a country thunder.
I didn't know until she performed at halftime of the Stampede Bowl in Calgary. Didn't know who she was. But
really?
I got to get with it. Yeah, well, I went to the Lions practice on Saturday, and they had Morgan Wallen playing over the speakers, New Country. I've been hanging out with his baseball team, the Millers. Half the kids are from Texas. They all listen to classic country. You wonder why I love them.
Well, I know you listen to Ella Langley.
Well, that was by chance. She happened to be on in a rental car I got in Palm Springs. I'm like, who is this girl? This is amazing. But, how about the Oilers media tour? And Leon saying that the players are excited to play for Mike Babcock. Is this a case of they have to say that? Or do they actually believe that?
Roddy, I don't know. Is
that the number one story?
I'm just
going into the year?
You know how we've got Hard Knocks right now with the Seahawks? And it takes you inside the room? If somebody could ever get an NHL inside the room with the Edmonton Oilers this year, it might be one of the best hockey shows ever. Because I just don't know how this is going to work. And you and I have talked about this Mike Babcock situation, and everybody has talked about it.
Robert, nobody gets tired of it.
When the Oilers hit their first losing streak of 2 or 3 games, or Babcock benches 97 and 29 because they're playing like crap, what's going to happen? And I don't think that team has really improved a great deal to be a Stanley Cup contender. When you take a look at what other teams are doing in the West, and yet people are putting them as the top team out of the West to win the Stanley Cup. FanDuel's picking them to win the Pacific Division. I'm a huge Oilers fan, Rod, but I must be missing something because I just don't see it. Unless Tristan Jarry becomes the next Patrick Waugh.
Well, but we got Freddie Anderson.
Wallman becomes the next Scott Stevens or Scott Niedermayer.
Freddie Anderson took Carolina to the Stanley Cup last year. So as far as the goal goes, I'm not concerned about that.
They're going to be fine in goal. And as somebody has said, they've probably got the best goaltender in the McDavid era in Freddie Anderson. I don't disagree with that, but I still think that Stu Skinner's in that equation because he did get them to the Stanley Cup final twice. But it's just, I don't know. It's going to be such an interest watching that team night in, night out. with Mike Babcock calling the shots.
Everybody's saying the right things in everywhere. NFL teams
Yep.
in training camps, NHL teams, wherever they are, at the lake. So we all need to, everybody, and I know the people aren't going to change. We all get caught up on what we're hearing now. The results will come out on the ice. Virginia Eric says, Scruffy, your fandom won't let you believe the hype. Is that possible? That you're too much of an Oilers fan to get sucked in? Or whatever that means?
Maybe.
See, yeah. It does cloud your vision. I mean, that's kind of what we're hearing out of Dallas. I mean, Mike Davis came on here on Friday and said the Cowboys look unstoppable, unbelievable. I'm like, they actually do. But can we please not get caught up in preseason results? You Seahawks are 0-2 in the preseason. I don't see your knees knocking, Mitch. You don't seem too worried about it.
You know, it's funny because last night, I had somebody send me a text last night asking if I was watching the Seahawks-Tennessee game. And, of course, that was on at the same time as the Rider game. Roddy, you know I'm not big on NFL preseason football. And, I think I've maybe watched 10 minutes of it this year. And that's with all the games on the NFL Network and live and stuff like that. But during a commercial break last night, I just decided, you know what? I'm just going to switch over to the Seahawks-Tennessee game. And the Seahawks came out to start their first possession. And not one member of their number one offense was on the field. Sam Darnold wasn't quarterbacking. It was Drew Lock. I don't know the name of the running back, but it wasn't Jadarian Price. And Zach Charbonnet's hurt. Jackson Smith and Jigba was not in the lineup. Gray Zabel was not on the O-line. It's like, yeah, okay, thanks. Bye.
Well, I don't know
Wednesday
where
night,
anybody's...
September 9th, I'll be there. But until then, yeah, I'm not invested in it.
But degenerate gamblers like yourself, I forgot to say, professional gambler Mitchell Scruffy Blair co-hosting with us today.
Who cashed it in again this weekend?
I know, you're a professional gambler. Do I look surprised? Which is
cool. By the way, I'd like to thank the St. Louis Cardinals for gassing it yesterday, because that really would have made the weekend nice. But thanks, Phillies getting 6 in the night.
Professional gambler Mitchell Scruffy Blair. But I went to the score.com today. I think we all have I have a special feeling for the Score. Used to work there. But they had just a wonderful, almost like a blog of every single game, which starters played and for how long, which rookies played and for how long, blah, 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 blah. If you're really into that, which I think we are. And it wasn't just for betting purposes. It's for what, because I don't bet, but it works here. We got a lot of questions have come in from the crowd, which I'll get to on the other side of the break. We covered it all here, I think, Mitch. What's the last word? You have the last word, Mitch. You've got 1 minute and 45 seconds.
Again on the weekend, Roddy, there was great optimism for those that follow a Canadian baseball team. That number 27 was going to rise from the ashes and have a huge weekend against the Yankees. He was 0 for 4 yesterday. He could have had a base hit on Saturday, but he dogged it out when the second baseman mishandled the ball. They could have gotten a run. Nobody wanted to call out number 27 on his play. It's just...
I think they're booting us. See you tomorrow, Mitch. See you tomorrow, Mitch.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Okay. Welcome back, everybody. It's still the warm-up. We haven't even got through everything. It's brought to you by our friends at Uniglobe Carefree Travel here in Vancouver, which, by the way, joined CFL legends Adam Bighill, Willie Jefferson, Jake Ceresna on a 7-day cruise departing from Fort Lauderdale, February 20th, a once-in-a-lifetime experience for CFL fans. Prices start at $18.99, cruise only. I met Neil Chark and his son Elon at the game yesterday. I will be posting the photo of it, but I said to Neil, let's just wait till the Rider Nation calms down before I post that, because they're not going. They're very upset. But I met Neil. It's awesome. Thank you for his partnership. Thank you to Pump Jacks Cathedral, Pump Jacks Weyburn, signing up for another year of the RP show. They get it. They bring you picks for Pump Jacks. I call it your sports watching headquarters. Scruffy and I were both 4-0 in our picks in the CFL last week, and frankly, I can't wait for our NFL picks. I'm going to get to some stories here in a second and answer your questions because everybody's asked. But just to re-up for the people that have just joined, Jim Popp has been named the Senior Football Advisor for the 0-10 CFL Ottawa Redblacks. Jim is a dear friend of mine, 6-time Grey Cup champion. Our poll question for EMJ Marketing is, will he save the Redblacks? I'm sorry, I voted no. I love Jim, but I think it's going to take more than one guy. But it's a start. I don't know how long he's going to be there for. I haven't talked to him. The other part of point one, quarterback Nathan Rourke threw 2 touchdown passes, and the BC defense forced several key turnovers for a 30-16 victory over the Roughriders Sunday. In fact, they won the turnover battle 4-1 and the penalty battle 7-2. I'm going to come back on that. I see John wrote in from Winnipeg and said the Riders have a problem. There are problems. We talked about that earlier. I'll come back on it, but we spent the whole first 30 minutes on that. Point two, Mitch and I talked about this. Cleveland Browns naming Deshaun Watson their starting quarterback for week 1 over second-year standout Shadir Sanders. It's interesting because Vancouver Eric said he's with Scruffy, not paying attention to the NFL at this time, certainly not preseason results. So we'll spend more on that in hour 2. Point 3, Edmonton Oilers core players have repeatedly stated they are excited to play under Mike Babcock as he gets set for his first stint behind an NHL bench. Oilers star Leon Draisaitl told NHL.com at the European Player Media Tour that he is ready to be held accountable by his new head coach. As Chris Dingman said on this show, be careful what you wish for. Point 4, Ben Rice hit a bases-loaded single to score 2 runs and cap a 3-run sixth, and the Yankees pulled away for an 8-3 victory for over the Toronto Blue Jays on Sunday. Jays off today, home to Kansas City Tuesday. Yankees off today as well. And .5 golf, Miyu Yamashita's first trip to Canada was a successful one. The 25-year-old from Japan won the CPKC Women's Open in Edmonton on Sunday. Everybody asks about Moose. Moose's better half is running that tournament in Edmonton. She's high up in Golf Canada, so I was following it for that reason. And Wyndham Clark won the BMW Championship. That's .5. .6 is the always fun randoms, which includes your questions. 902-518-3033, by the way, is the text line here. Brian from Winnipeg writes in. He says, great that you cover the CFL Mondays after the weekend games. CJOB here in Winnipeg is a 2-hour daily sports show, but it's mostly about the Bombers. Go figure, right? The gentleman wrote in here earlier and asked how my travel went. So it was a big deal from everybody, and I appreciate them. Landed here Friday night. I jumped in an Uber. It was $40 downtown. Didn't want to fart around with bags and luggage. That was great. But I wasn't getting Ubered out to Surrey for the Lions walkthrough, where I went out to pick up our passes for the game and so forth. It's been 20 years since I took the train, and even then I had an escort. Murray McCormick from the Leader Post, he knew how to figure it out. So here's the thing. I'm such a farmer, I don't want to offend anybody, but as I was walking, got the directions to the train station downtown Vancouver, I didn't really know where I was going. So what can I say? A new Canadian was walking, and I said, I'm sorry, sir, where's the train station, the Granville train station? And he goes, I'm going there too. Walk with me. He was just getting off his shift as a security guard. And I said, where are you going? He goes, Surrey. Same place as you. Oh, okay. So he stood there, helped me with my credit card, got the ticket. I felt like an 80-year-old lady. An 80-year-old lady would have done this better than I did. Anyways, he got on the train with me. He said, here's where you want to get off. So there was that. I'm like, thank you, God, for putting that guy in my path to help me get out there. Then I get out there, and then this guy I meet, Ryan Fournier, he's on my social media, clearly a huge Lions fan, who I ended up meeting up with him at the game. But when the practice was over, the Lions practice, he's like, well, I got to go to work. I'm getting on the train. So I said, well, I'll make you a deal. I'll push you. It's about a half mile to the train. He's in a wheelchair. If you'll help me go through this whole process again. He's like, cool. If you'll come by and see me at the game tomorrow, section 233. Well, guess what? I did. And I'm going on his podcast tomorrow. So with help from some really great people here in Vancouver, my travel was seamless. But what I will tell you is don't use ChatGPT for directions on how to get from downtown Vancouver via train to Surrey, because I would have ended up in Los Angeles. Ask a person. Arlen Bruce writes in and says, RP, did you hear John Gruden broadcasting the Bucks versus Chiefs? Do you have a problem with that? I don't. I give a guy 2 or 3 chances. Okay, it's interesting you say that. No, I'm a 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th chance guy, because that's why I'm still around. But the other thing with Gruden, what do they say? Talent won't be held back. I mean, I did not see the game. I was busy here this weekend. My focus was on the Lions. My focus was on things not broadcasting-wise. So now I was getting caught up on all the sports this morning. But when you say, do I have a problem with it? No, I don't. And it'll be interesting to see where and when or if John Gruden gets back into the NFL. But I'll be perfectly honest with you. The guy coming up next hour, Khalil Carter, is a CFL NFL vet, player and coach. And he said he wants to come on the show and talk about why he's blackballed from the CFL. And I said, Khalil, you're welcome to come on. The floor is yours. You know, and then we talked this morning about it. And I said, we're going to talk football too. We're going to spend 20 minutes on that. And he's like, oh, no, cool. My point on that is, why do some guys get chances and other guys don't, or gals and so forth? I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. I mean, the CFL's sending a big gift basket to John Gruden. You saw that. And I never thought anything about it. But people were writing in here going, wait a minute, why did he get – let's remember why he got banned from the NFL unofficially. I don't know. CFL sent me gift baskets before. Look at the way that the BC Lions have treated me. So it's beauty's in the eye of the beholder. But basically, Khalil Carter wanted to come on and plead his case for working in football again. I'm like, yeah, I've known you a long time, Khalil. Let's do it. Virginia Eric writes in, says, God always puts folks in our path to help us along, even when we don't think so. Oh, I know. You just got to open your eyes to it. Sometimes the wrong people teach you the rightest lessons. You know what I'm saying? Just got to open your eyes. Wilf writes in from Steinbach. He says, hey, Rod, riders will get healthy. Harrison Ford had bad games. Harrison Ford? Han Solo? Oh, Harris and Ford. Bad games, among a couple others. Well, that's the thing. I mean, Mitch, I'm so sorry, because as the gentleman said from Winnipeg, we talk about the entire league. We talked a lot about the Rider game, but I can't sit here with the blaming the refs and the this and the fighting and the I can't do that with that segment of Rider Nation. There's a lot of sane fans in that fan base, but there's a lot of nutso ones too, and it ain't my job to listen to them anymore. So they had a bad game. They might not finish first. That's okay too. They're a very good team. They'll get healthy, and as fans of other teams are saying, they probably are the team to beat in the West. Who knows? We've got a half a season left. Let's enjoy the ride. Gosh knows I am. Kirk from Toronto writes in. He says, all the CFL talk makes me very happy, considering the Toronto Sun doesn't cover the Argos or the CFL anymore. The paper only covers the Blue Jays and Leafs. What a disgrace. Well, I have this written down actually in my notes, and it's perfect to talk about here because the U.S. audience probably doesn't care. But when I went out to the Lions practice the other day, I could sit and talk about those stories for a very long time. But I leaned on the tackle dummies with Bob Marjanovic, the longtime voice of the BC Lions, and we just talked about this crappy trade, this crappy business. And while Moj knows radio, see what I'm saying? Him and I could talk for a long time. And I've told you what I think about Moj. At my very first Super Bowl party, he took me around in L.A. and introduced me to everybody. I'm like, Moj, you don't have to do that. And he's like, no, you're part of this world now. He's just a good guy. And he just said, as great as podcasts are, there's still room for live radio, live television, and clearly live streaming. For instance, who else is talking about the Ottawa Redblacks hiring Jim Popp today? Literally nobody. And how good of a move that is. Nobody. So it was Moj that said it on, and we talked for a long time, probably still be talking if we could. There's still room for what we do here. And don't even get me going on the Vancouver media. I can name the guys that were there. Jim Morris, who I know, JC Abbott from 3 Down Nation, Steve Ewan from Post Media, and that's about it. 3 guys. And that press box used to be full. And they were all really awesome to me. We had a really good time here in Vancouver. What else was I going to talk about? I'm leaning on the wall at the Lions facility, and where's my glasses? Mike Benavides. David Benefield's coming on the show Wednesday. Benefield goes there. He goes, do my eyes deceive me? Is that Rod? And he comes running across with this huge, teethy grin. Mike Benavides. This is just the second time you've ever been out here, right? And I'm like, how do you know that? I don't even remember. I was sitting there thinking of how many times have I been. He said, I'm like, only one other time have I ever been to the Surrey facility. And I'm like, how do you remember? And I said that to the PR guy, Matt Baker. He's like, he's a head coach at one time. They're like Rain Men. And I look at Buck Pierre. I love Buck. I do. But he was looking at every single person along the fence. You look up paranoid in the dictionary, there's a picture of a CFL coach there. All of them. I was just there to see my friends have a good time. Meet Ryan, who helped me get on the train, and I'm going on his show tomorrow. So we've had a wonderful time in Vancouver. That's where we are right now. And we'll continue this next hour in Khalil Carter 2 on the RP Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
Ew, boy. Welcome to the RP Show, everybody. Don't mind me as I Google something. I go to the big board. What a start to the week. What a Monday. Depending on who you are. Some people are having a great Monday. Some people are having a terrible Hi. Yeah, we're a new spot just for the day. For now. Live from Vancouver, it's the RP Show, episode number 1803, welcoming our viewers across Nevada, Las Vegas on Silver State Sports, trucking along into hour 2, Game Plus streaming, our own YouTube channel, The Rod Pedersen Show podcast, and WQVZ. Who's having a worse day? I'll tell you what, Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, the head coach of the Cleveland Browns, Todd Monken. I can tell you who's having a great day is fans of the BC Lions. That's why I'm here. Went to the CFL game here this weekend. The BC Lions, huge friends of ours, partners of ours, supporters of ours. This is the warm-up of the RP Show brought to you by Uniglobe Carefree Travel here in Vancouver. We'll be talking more about them later. A little later on, our guest today, the guest segment for Prairie Panels, will be joined by Khalil Carter, former NFL, CFL player, receiver, and coach. Played with the Browns, the Bills, the Argonauts, the Alouettes, and coached in Calgary and Montreal as well in the CFL. Now, hey, you're by now, when this airs in Vegas, people, it'll be old news. But there are people watching live streaming. That's still a thing, you know. And I hate the fact that I get news from Instagram. I loathe it. And if I get time, I'll get to the questions from the viewers. There's a lot from Vancouver that I had questions about the weekend. What I picked up this weekend from Vancouver sports media, because it's been absolutely gutted like the rest across Canada. But here's the breaking news. Why even prepare for the show when you open Instagram and this comes out? This from TMZ. I didn't know whether to believe it when I first saw it this morning. I first saw it on an account like Football Scoop or something. Nothing against the Football Scoop guys, but San Francisco 49ers owner Jed York landed in an Ohio jail Sunday after being arrested on suspicion of engaging in prostitution. So let's just leave that there. If you remember last year, there was 2 members of the Rams that were arrested for drug trafficking. Do you guys remember that? And I said, because of my role in the recovery industry and my relationship with law enforcement, I can tell you the cops, they don't get it wrong. Not with charges like this. Not with people like this. It's not, oh, dang, we got the wrong guy. No. So he's having a bad day, Jed York. And then the other, we're opening with the National Football League because it's hour 2 and it's the U.S. hour. Although I know there are a lot of CFL fans watching. The whole first hour was on the CFL, and I'll come back on that in a second. But here's the other news out of Cleveland. The Browns are naming Deshaun Watson their starting quarterback for Week 1 over second-year standout Shedeur Sanders. Sources told NFL Network's Ian Rappaport this morning. It's widespread news now. Deshaun Watson emerges as Cleveland's starter after battling for the starting role through training camp. Now, there's more to the story than just that. And that I gleaned from thescore.com this morning while getting ready for the show. But we all saw, I think if we didn't see it, we heard about Deshaun Watson's news conference Saturday night after the Browns got destroyed by the Bills and got booed. I'm only laughing because it's not me, okay? I'm just saying I thank God every day for the problems I don't have. And in the case of Deshaun Watson, he's one of those guys that causes a lot of his own problems. So he stood at the podium after being booed in Cleveland the other day and said that he gets more love on road games than at home games. And then they name him the starting quarterback today, which I want to talk to Khalil Carter about this coming up in the next segment, today's guest for Prairie Panels. But I don't know, you can use all the analytics, all the stats. You could even use the eye test if you want. But the number one deciding factor and who starts on all 22 positions on the field on offense and defense, plus special teams, should be who's going to help us win this week. Period. And I think anybody that's watched Cleveland Browns games this year, in the preseason, tail end of last year, could tell you that it's Shedeur Sanders. But this preseason, Shedeur Sanders I watched the game, actually. I didn't think it was live on Saturday. But either way, Shedeur looks way better than Deshaun Watson. And my point is that, this is just me speaking, but I feel, again, this was the owner's decision. And don't get me going about good owners versus bad owners. I think we all know the Cleveland Browns owner is a bad one. So just talk to anybody who's been there. He makes the decisions, and they can't figure out why they keep losing all the time. And they're such a laughing stock. They can't figure it out. A lot of those guys can't. Anyways, continuing on, this is all part of point 1. Las Vegas Raiders running back Ashton Genty is believed to have suffered a sprained ankle, and the organization doesn't think the injury is long-term. A clear recovery timeline is unknown to this point. Genty was helped off the field at Sunday's Raiders practice. Couldn't put any pressure on his right leg, prompting concerns that he sustained a catastrophic injury. If the Raiders are going to do anything this year, he's a huge part of it. And that's a practice injury. I'll tell you, I don't know where you're getting your NFL news at this time in the preseason, but for me, thescore.com, I worked there for 4 years. I have a special place in my heart for the Score. King Street, downtown Toronto. They've got a live blog. People still do that, of every single game, which starters played for how long, which rookies played and for how long. It's very, very good. I mean, I don't know where you're getting yourself. I'm just saying you might want to check out thescore.com. Theirs is excellent, always has been. Tennessee Titans are undefeated this preseason with new coach Robert Saleh. They also have a lot of work to do before the season opener. Dearness Johnson had a 2-yard touchdown run with 5:45 to go to help the Titans overcome a 13-point deficit Sunday night and beat the defending Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks 19-16 in a preseason game. That was the only exhibition game on Sunday. And here we are on a Monday with no Monday Night Football. I still don't understand this. Do I know more than the National Football League? I don't think so. But you couldn't find one game this Monday and last Monday. You couldn't. You had the Hall of Fame game. You had two teams playing, Carolina and Arizona, a week ahead of everybody else. Why couldn't you just delay it a couple days? Whatever. Blue Jays off, Yankees off today. The A's, however, for the Vegas baseball fans, are home to Minnesota. Just putting that out there. So those are some of the NFL headlines, but our Hour 1 co-host, Scruffy, says he's not even paying attention to the NFL preseason. I don't believe him. I'm just telling you that's what he said. Now, we can get to more of our stories in a second, but again, Khalil Carter coming up in the next segment, and I don't want to waste precious time with Khalil when he joins us, so I'll tell you now, he's from Washington, D.C. originally, played in the NFL with the Browns and the Bills, played in the CFL with Toronto and Montreal, and coached in Calgary and Montreal. Khalil Carter coming up to talk ball and a lot of other things in the next segment. But the news for the CFL fans on this Monday, you've been hearing us talk about the Ottawa Red Blacks. It's sad. I guess people just like a train wreck. I actually can't believe how many people are talking about how bad the Canadian Football League's Ottawa Red Blacks are at 0-10. And the breaking news out of there today is that they are bringing back Jim Popp, close friend of mine, 6-time Grey Cup champion, 5 with Montreal, 1 with Toronto. Jim Popp, who was last seen as the director of player personnel with the United Football League. I'll tell you why I say Jim's the coolest guy that's ever been in the Canadian Football League. Personal opinion, of course. There's been a lot of cool cats come through the CFL. To me, he's the coolest. He's been on this show, Jim has. But I remember my youngest daughter, every year we would allow her to pick a road trip that she wanted to go on. And the one that she wanted to go to was Montreal because she was bilingual, went to French immersion school. She wanted to go to Montreal and try out her French. Perfect. Let's go. So she came with me to the news conference. I think she was about 11 or 12. And Jim Popp was coach and GM of the Alouettes at the time. And he sat there in the bowels of Olympic Stadium in Montreal. And all he wanted to do was talk to my daughter in French and about Montreal. And what are you going to do when you're here? What do you want to do when you're here? This is where you should go. I'm like, what an awesome dude. Jim Popp is just that. And a tremendous football man. His first ever job in pro football was in 1992 as a receivers coach with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I don't remember where I met him. Somewhere along the way. Just a great dude. Rich in Edmonton writes in, he says, hit Cardero's Rod. Great spot right on the water. It's my favorite place in Vancouver, and I was there Saturday night. So hang on. So Vancouver Eric says, RP, you'll be so glad to get back to sports media crazy Florida after your Vancouver experience. No, bro. I mean, I don't think you know me well enough. You've been watching this show a long time. While the media is far less here in Vancouver than it was, it's very, very quality. And Steve Ewan from Post Media sat right beside him in the press box the other night. We're old WHL guys. So we had a great time together. And Bob Marjanovic, nobody knows, but just so you know, nobody knows where the Vancouver sports media is going. Because you know what? My friends are all the foot soldiers. They're the frontline guys. They're the guys that go in front of the bullets. I'm not talking to the big cheeses at the top. I don't know. Nobody knows what they're thinking. So where this is going, we don't know. But in Florida, that's the one thing is it is awash with media guys and gals. You get lost in that sea of them down there. You know, what's hit Canada media is not hit down there. So, well, it's nice. Those are my friends there, too. And there's some quality people there, but there's some bad ones, too. The ones left in Vancouver are all good ones. Utah Darren writes in, and he says, Ottawa has a big problem when their leading offensive weapon is their short yardage quarterback. I hope they give him, Bryson Barnes, a shot at starting a game this season. Oh, I would suggest everything's on the table right now. Carlos in Indiana points out, it's 111. My friend Janice came to the game with me Sunday, and we parked in a spot, and she's like, looked at the parking spot. She was like, look, number 11. I'm like, you get it. It's a thing. Thank you, Carlos, for pointing that out. Rich in Edmonton says, Pop has a fantastic resume. C. Lightning writes in and says, Jim Pop is 61. See, Jim's, I don't know why we get along. I should have got him on the show. I mean, he has been on the show before. Now he's too busy trying to clean up the Ottawa Redblacks, but Jim's a little like me. He started in the business so long, or at such a young age, that, I mean, you're in it 40 years, you're a friggin' dinosaur, and you're only in your early to mid-50s. Will from Steinbach, Manitoba writes in, he says, Jim Pop, good move. Trestman as advisory coach? I'd be careful with that one. I tell you what, there ain't no two tighter guys in the world than Mark Trestman and Jim Pop. They're super buddies. But if I know Jim Pop well, he's going to ease in as much as he can. Ease in as easily as he can in Ottawa and not want to rock the boat too much and try and tweak what's there before he brings in Mark. And I also know Mark Trestman real well. Obviously, he was just on this show. Mark didn't want to be taking anybody's job. Mark doesn't want to be looking over anybody's shoulder. It starts with Jim, and we'll see where it goes from there. So those are some of the football notes. And again, Khalil Carter joining us in the next segment. I'm just checking my clock here. 902-518-3033. Taking care of business, by the way. I want to welcome back Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. Pump Jack's Weyburn, Pump Jack's Cathedral. On for another year is our pick sponsor, Canadian Football League, NHL picks, NFL right around the corner. Come early and stay late at the place where friends meet. Pump Jack's. When we talk hockey, it's for the Mad Greek. Whether it's pizza, ribs, or authentic Greek favorites, make it the Mad Greek Eatery tonight. Open until 11 p.m. So on the hockey thing, we're in Vegas on the air. So can we make it 0.2? No, 0.1 NFL, 0.2 CFL, 0.3 NHL. The Edmonton Oilers core players have repeatedly stated that they are excited to play under Mike Babcock as he gets set for his first stint behind an NHL bench since 2019. Oilers star Leon Draisaitl told NHL.com at the European Player Media Tour that he is ready to be held accountable by his new head coach. Draisaitl told NHL.com that the Oilers, quote, never really found what we were as a group, unquote, during the campaign last season and were further derailed by injuries in the postseason. I think we're all tired of the Oilers Babcock stuff. It's like, let's just get on the ice and play. But it's also the third week of August. There's nothing else going on other than the expansion story, which I feel like dropped out of nowhere over the weekend. The Bill Daly, the NHL's VP, to Gary Bettman, stating on that media tour that they are eyeing Austin or Houston by 2029. And, of course, I'm always looking that they're speaking at it in code. I'm like, how do you not know? I feel like you would know which one of those cities it would be. Why are you dangling us? He said, so they're going to have one team there, and then they said a second team. He didn't necessarily say Texas. He brought up Atlanta, and so I don't know. There's a whole lot going on. So when I heard this first thing about Austin or Houston, I thought it was fake news, but I went to my trusty Canadian Press subscription because that's where I go to fact check. And then, oh, Daly said it. And they had the quotes. So here's what you see the expansion fee now is $2 billion. So while Tom Ghilardi, the owner of the Dallas Stars, I'm pretty sure doesn't want another team in Texas, they waved a big check in front of his face. Everybody likes that. So, yeah, NHL's going to Texas. Those are my thoughts. Why not? My dad worked for the Dallas Stars for 26 years. It's a great place. Khalil Carter joins us next. NFL, CFL alum, coaching front two. Talk ball for all when we return. Silver State Sports Game Plus podcast and WQVZ.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Welcome back, everybody. It's the RP Show, Silver State Sports, Game Plus, podcast, and WQVZ. I read his resume a couple of times, but I will again. NFL vet from Cleveland and Buffalo, CFL player, Toronto, Montreal coach, Calgary, Montreal, and a whole lot of time in the indoor leagues. Khalil Carter joins us on the RP Show today. How you doing, Coach Carter?
RP, man, it's good to see you live and in person, man. I'm doing well. If I was any better, I'd be you, brother. I'll tell you that.
Stop it. Hey, I want to talk about the news of the day, man, out of Cleveland, if you don't mind. The Browns going with Deshaun Watson today. Not going over necessarily well. What did you think when you saw that?
I just think there's an investment there that they can't ignore. I think that's just the business of a sport. You gave that man a lot of money to come over there and produce, thinking he would return to his days of his greatness when he was in Houston and in college. We've watched all his storylines over the years, and as bad as they've been, I could never, ever doubt the heart of a true champion, of a true competitor. I think you got to give him the wheels as Shador is still young. We've seen him make mistakes last year. Not sure he's ready to be the version of himself that the Cleveland Browns need, but having two guys that are sort of at the same level is not a bad problem to have. There are other teams with worse quarterback situations. So I'm not a Deshaun Watson fan. I'm more inclined to go with a Shador, but I think their quarterback problems are far from over.
Okay, well, I was actually going to ask you that. If it were you, who would you be picking to week? Well, you just answered it. So, but you make a great point about the investment. That's still a thing, isn't it? I mean, it's not, in this case, necessarily about who gives us the best chance to win. It's like, we've given this guy $236 million. Let's make him earn it, basically.
Yeah, we all have pride in this game. I mean, good pride, bad pride. And we know pridefulness comes before a great fall. And so if you're going to be prideful about the money you spend or even questionable about the character of the men you choose, sometimes you got to just go into the ship falls off or the things fall off the rails. And I think a lot of teams, when they invest money in guys like that, they don't want to cut their losses too early. I remember a couple years ago, there was a quarterback, Osweiler, was in Denver as a backup
Brock
or got a chance to
Osweiler.
play.
Yeah.
And he
Yep.
got a whole lot of money to go to Houston, and I think it lasted all part of a half a season. And so they got rid of that because investment wasn't as large, but they held on to him too. And I think he was a good quarterback, solid guy. And there are several stories like that in the NFL. But when you give away that much money, you almost look foolish not to see your investment to fruition. So I feel bad for them because my good friend Brandon Lynch for the Saskatchewan Roughriders is their defensive back coach, pass game coordinator. He has that defense humming. They be flying around, but that offense has a lot of work to do.
Yeah. By the way, you and I have been talking off and on the last couple months. I never did ask you where you at right now. Where are you joining us from today?
Yeah, I'm in Arizona. Moved down here after I
Nice.
took another bad job, and we'll discuss that a little bit, Rod. But I take jobs out of my heart, man. I know I can transform bad teams into good teams. I can transform secondaries into the best in the league. And so I've been trying to do that consistently over the last 10 years since I left the CFL, or 8 years since I left the CFL, and I've had success. But I moved to Arizona to kind of get away from football, and this is a place where football lives. I'm more kind of getting behind the scenes in the ministry, in the player development, and helping out guys who are suffering from CTE related symptoms. I think that's a huge problem for guys after the sport. So I'm kind of just giving my heart to the game. And Mark Trustman said this best. He just texted me today actually, and he said football doesn't love you back. So I just give and give and give until I got no more to give, and the game is the game. So I'm in Arizona. I'm loving it though. I'm loving retirement. I'm loving being in Arizona, except for the heat.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place. Well, I'm sitting here in Vancouver, and I do not hate the weather. Everybody's complaining about the mist. I'm like, no. I'll be in Florida in 2 weeks, and I'm okay with this. By the way, we'll get to that CFL stuff in a second. The reason I ask you is I'm just wondering what's popping out to you in the NFL preseason. Is it all Cardinal stuff because you're living there, or is that what other things aside from this Cleveland
I'm seeing a lot
quarterback
about the
situation?
Cardinals, actually. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot about the Cardinals. I think they played Jeremiah Love a little too long in the first preseason game. You got a commodity like that, you don't get him hurt. Same thing with Buda Baker. I think he started. I was at the game this last weekend. They played him. I know you got to get reps, but you got commodities that you can't lose, especially on a team that's projected to be at 500 or less this year. Still with not a complete picture at quarterback. Still a work in progress on the defensive side of the ball. My good friend Chris Cook is the offensive line coach over there. We talk candidly about what they're trying to do this year. And, they got a quarterback that's a veteran guy that's really, really steady and really solid. Just not a world beater. And I think when you go into a season with a situation like that, you got to have really good defensive play, and you got to be able to run the ball, and you got to play special teams. So really interesting. But across the NFL, I just see teams doing what they're doing, protecting their starters, protecting their assets, building this camaraderie and unity, and kind of solidarity of purpose, which is what good teams do, especially early on. Takes a little while to build that throughout the season because the great teams gel when it's time. That's in October, November. But you'll able to see a good team start off winning, and I see the Eagles doing that. I see the Chiefs bouncing back. I like what I see out of Denver. I like what I see out of Seattle. So the real teams are doing what they do. They got great quarterbacks, great leaders, and that's where it all starts in the NFL.
It's funny you say that because I was talking to John Ryan yesterday. You know John, JR, punter,
yeah.
Super Bowl winning punter with the Seahawks. He said he couldn't have played in today's pro sport because of the glare of the fans outside. And John's a pretty mentally strong guy, but he goes, I don't think I could deal with it. So you and everybody's saying Jeremiah Love shouldn't play as much for the Cardinals. And if you're the coach, my point is, how much do the teams hear of the outside noise? Or are they just in their own vacuum and they don't hear it? Like, do they feel they screwed up in this or not?
I can say that the players definitely have a different perspective than the ownership group and the leadership, and not knocking any side because they're all different. Like you and I, we have different perspectives about certain things, but as friends, we can dialogue. We can even bark and yell at each other sometimes, and it's all love. I think that's kind of that same dichotomy is the players are going to see and think one thing, and the leadership differently. They all hear it though. The only time they don't hear it is when the game is on. When the game is on, no one cares, right?
I say that all the time. Yeah, you're right. People don't think that they can hear. They can hear you. So I say be careful what you say because they do here. So continue. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think so. With that dichotomy of differences of perspective and intent and purpose, you kind of got to take it all in. A true professional can take it all in and handle the pressure and the criticism and the scrutiny without pointing fingers. And Pinball Clemens said this to me the other day when I talked to him. He said, "In this building, we don't point fingers." And so many times we do see that from coaches to players pointing fingers at one side of the ball or management or what's happened with Brandon Ayuk in San Francisco. There are mishandlings all the time. There are guys, there are Brock Purdy that come out of not being drafted in the right spot, even though he was a great player in college and high school. We don't always get it right. The point is not to always get it wrong because that costs people their jobs and their livelihood. And I think players do that too. Stay off social media with your input about your team. Keep that all stuff in-house. But the leadership needs to respect that too. I think sometimes they do a little bit more than they should. There is a balance. The balance is unity of purpose. What are we trying to accomplish as a team? Not as an organization, not as a sport, but as a team. People in that locker room, the Pete Carroll mentality of loving on your coach and loving on your players works. It's a design that has been proven, but you have to have the right pieces. And drafting and free agency all plays into that. I'm mad at my Cowboys for never getting Derrick Henry. How did you miss up on Derrick Henry and he goes for 1,800 that year? You don't do that, Cowboys. They end up with Miles Sanders and the guy Williams. They're a good 1-2 punch, but it's still just slightly above average. So we got to get that part right. And you do that by listening to all your leaders, all of the voices inside the house, ignoring the outside noise. You hear it, but you don't respond to it. You don't let it move you. And then during the game, you play ball, baby. You just ball.
See, this is the reason I've always had time for you because I knew you're very well spoken, very intelligent guy, and we're going to get around to the CFL in a second, but I also am a Cowboy fan, and it tries me. And you know what I'm talking about. Can we just spend a minute on the boys, America's team, and the fact that everybody says it seems different coming out of there. Jerry has shut up, largely. He's got serious about the defense. Could they be for real, finally?
It all depends on the health of Dak Prescott. I like what Joe Milton did last game. Did you see him? I've been liking him since Tennessee. That boy is
He's outstanding. He's a linebacker.
I love him. He's like a baby Cam Newton with a little bit more touch. And I watched him at Tennessee. I knew he would do well. Didn't like him in the Patriots offense behind Drake May and Matt Jones. I didn't like him in that system, but in this system that is not zone reoriented or quarterback run friendly like Lamar Jackson's offense, but it has a pass first mentality. But I still think that you have to have that quality backup. And Joe's not there yet, but I saw some really good things with his deep ball, with his decision making. That's the Cowboy team that can win with plenty of depth at receiver, tight end, great offensive line, decent run game, a great D line. Even though we got rid of Michael Parsons, we didn't want $2 million more, and we gave it to a DB, which are a little bit more dime a dozen. I say it as a DB, a little bit more dime a dozen than a great pass rusher. So we got to make those good decisions, Cowboys and other NFL execs. Make the right decisions. Don't let your ego get in the way of good football. Because John Huffnagel said, I'm name dropping here. John Huffnagel says, no matter what, don't play bad football. And you saw when I was with Calgary, we were amazing. He made great decisions. He had great retention, and he signed only the free agents that made sense for the room. And I think you have to do that in order to be successful.
Yeah, you guys waited for us to make mistakes. You didn't make any on your own. You waited, and eventually we would, and we'd lose the game. Anyways, Ottawa 0-10. They're bringing in Jim Pop. I'm sure you saw that today. What do you think about that move?
Now, I know Jim. Jim brought me in when I left Toronto in 2008. He didn't play me immediately. That was a Trestman decision, but I love Mark Trestman in his mind. I think Jim is as good of a player, personnel, talent, and talent kind of scout as anyone else. I think he understands the CFL game and what it takes to be successful. I saw what he did in Toronto too. I saw what he did in the UFL with that. I just think that Jim is a solution on the board that definitely can have positive results. But I think in-house for Ottawa, you have guys that have been successful in the league. I don't know how well they're gelling in the coaching staff. I talked to a friend of mine who used to coach on that staff a couple years ago or last year, and he's like, man, it's non-football people making football decisions. And I say that lightly because I respect a lot of people in that room. And in that building, from Pete Costanza to Will Fields to even Ron Dinwiddie, who I coached with in Calgary. But I think that there's some other things that are happening in the organizational part of it that's not necessarily translating to picking the right guys or that team gelling. And we know Dinwiddie. Dinwiddie's outspoken. He is a bit of a finger pointer at times, blaming certain aspects of his teams and players and things. And I think he's lost side of what this is all about, the CFL. There's a brotherhood that's different from the NFL and the CFL. And Mark Trestman learned that in year 2 and year 3 when he won Grey Cups. It's not the NFL. It's not a bunch of millionaire egomaniacs running around. It's a bunch of hard-nosed, hard-fighting Canadians and Americans trying to live their dreams. And once you get that right, you start winning. Also, with the personnel you have at coaching, it's been a lot of turnover. I know they got Will Fields still there. I love Will, great player, great coach, really humble man of God and everything. I love Will. Will needs some help. Will needs some help. And I think Ottawa's situation can get better with Jim Pop, but he's not the only answer. I mean, without disrespecting my boy Dinwiddie, I love you, man. You know your brother, Henry Burris. Henry Burris. I say Henry Burris for the third time would be a great addition or solution to being able to get players that inspire them to play better football. I just love Henry. He's charismatic. He knows the game. He's a champion. He actually beat me twice in his 2 championships. I love Henry. I think he would be a good solution in Ottawa.
It's actually funny because he just went through broadcast school, NFL broadcast school. I'm like, Hank, you're going to be on the sidelines or upstairs and behind a desk, not on the air, but he's the kind of guy who can do whatever he wants. Okay, Khalil Carter, this is what I wanted to talk about. What did you want to talk about today?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the first platforms I've been able to kind of just talk about where I am in the CFL and the infrastructure that's there. And I spoke to many people like yourself, Justin Dunk, from the Dave Naylor to my mentors, Pinball Clemens and others. And I even talked to Dave Dickinson and Huff Nagel before, and Devon Claybrook, who's one of my confidants. I don't know why I'm not there. Okay. I was 50-10 in Calgary as a secondary coach, pass game coordinator. I called all the plays on second down or long passing downs. First down pass, I called all of them. Claybrook's always just related to me, hey, what you want to run on second down? We helped him with his call sheets. We helped him with the game planning. We were instrumental into the success of Calgary from 2015 to 2018 with the 2 Grey Cups and lost them. But we came out the gate 13-1-1 both of those seasons. That wasn't just Dave Dickinson. That wasn't just John Huffnagel. That just wasn't Devon Claybrooks, because we lost those championships for some of those people. I mean, myself included. I mean, our secondary didn't play well against Henry, but we stormed back and we had a chance to win that game until we put our third string quarterback in to run a 2-point conversion play. And we had the number 1 rusher. And people say, oh, you're pointing the finger. I'm not. I'm just being honest and truthful about what happened. Coming out 13-1-1 with a chance to be the greatest team in CFL history is worth not playing your starters throughout. It kind of reminds me of what happened with Saquon Barkley when he had the Russian title on the line, and they don't play him against his former team, against his former team, and they win the championship, which is the ultimate goal, no question about that. But you could have had both. You can have your cake and eat it too in football if you just believe in your guys and you believe in your coaches and you believe in the infrastructure. You can have it all. So I think there was a point in time, and after that second Grey Cup loss, where I had moved on. I was going to Montreal, and I talked to Dave because some things had happened, and Dave said to me, hey, we're going to move on. I said, Dave, I already got a job, man. You know, I already got my stuff packed up. I'm out of here. You know, it's all good. Thank you for the opportunity. I love coaching for y'all. I said, all I ask you is don't put out a press release saying that I'm leaving. Because most time in CFL, they just hire the new staff. They don't tell you who's leaving until they hire the new staff. Well, the next day they put out a press release. Khalil Carter's being released by the Stampeders. Why? I still got paid out my contract. It wasn't a firing with cause. Right? It was basically a pink slip saying we're not going to retain you. We have Josh Bell, who's going to be our next DB coach. They're going to win a Grey Cup. All things good. But don't try to embarrass me for the sake of saving face for the Grey Cup losses. Those were 2 very embarrassing losses. Probably 2 of the greatest defeats or underdog stories of CFL history. We were one of the greatest teams ever. And so I don't like the stigma that's being attached to me. I often get compared to Dion with my swag or my articulate nature or even my playing career. I got 50 career interceptions in 150 games. Only 2 Hall of Famers in the CFL career have that average. And I played in 5 different leagues. So that consistency was over time. As a coach, I'm 140-40. Went 50-10 in the CFL and created a Montreal defense in 2018 that was formidable. Jamal Westerman, Jabari Westerman, Woody Barron, John Bowman, Pinnock Mwamba, Chris Aki, Mitchell White, Tavon Campbell, Tommy Campbell, Joe Burnett, Chip Cox. That team on paper, that defense was phenomenal. But because the coaches that were under me didn't like my style, I got kind of termed a bad leader. Now, I wasn't a servant leader then. I didn't understand servant leadership. I didn't understand humility. but I didn't understand servant leadership. I tried to coach like I had been coached. Huffnagel wasn't nice. He was mean, but he was direct and he was right, right? And I love him for it. Old school. I'm old school. I'm going to get my guys to get their jobs done because they're getting paid for it. And that kind of leadership does work with Bill Parcells or Bill Belichick or those types. But they're not Tony Dungy. They're not Michael Pinball Clemens, who uses love and spirituality to inspire people. And I had to learn that in time, but it didn't mean I couldn't win there. I just had Mike Sherman and Cavers Reed. So when I finally got my chance, the leadership above me was somewhat corrupt. And it corrupted what we tried to do. And during that time, and this is the first time I get my story out, Cavers called me that entire year because they started 0-9 because Richard Stubler behind the scenes was telling people, oh, they're not going to win a game with Khalil Carter, defensive coordinator. And then they go 0-9. And Cavers calls me, hey, how can we fix it? And I tell him, move him here, move him there, move him here. You can't put those two guys on the same side. You got to move around, spread the defense out. You got to find out another will linebacker. Chris Ackett cannot blitz. These things that we talked about. And at the end of the season, they offered me my job back. No one knows this. They offered me my job. They flew me to Orlando, offered me my job back. They wanted me to take a pay cut for Bob Slowick, who I respect immensely. But Bob Slowick hasn't been successful in the CFL. Hasn't been successful. But he's a name. He's a great coach from the NFL. He was Mike Sherman's guy. But they wanted me to take a pay cut, a $70,000 pay cut, to be the DB coach when I hadn't even given a chance to be a D coordinator yet, despite all the success that I had as a player and a coach. 7 Eastern or Western finals. And I had
We only got 30
failed.
seconds left. We only got 30 seconds left. A quick message. A quick message in 30
GMs,
seconds.
head coaches, all you guys, give a guy a chance. You want to win, let booby spin. I'm not a problem. I'm not a terror. I didn't have any problem in Calgary. I am a solution-oriented coach. You want to win? Let Khalil Carter win. That's all. Let him spin. Let me coach your secondary. We will be number one.
Nice job. And I got your number if anybody needs it. Khalil, this has been great. Keep in touch, man. Outstanding job.
Thank you, brother.
Real good job by Khalil Carter. We'll be right back with a sports update and viewer takeover the rest of the way. It's the RP Show.
Ready for a night of rock with the Gene Simmons Band.
You know your man is working hard. He's worth a team.
Saturday, December 5th, Temple Garden Center.
Now.
The Gene Simmons Band performing your favorite classic hits. Tickets on sale now at sasktix.ca. Don't miss the Gene Simmons Band.
Get ready to make unforgettable memories with your little ones at Elmo's Got the Moves, the all-new Sesame Street live show coming to your neighborhood. Friday, December 4th, Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at SaskTix.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Couple more segments here from lovely Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And what a fantastic show it's been. Great job, Khalil Carter. Mike Davis tuned in Vegas from the Vegas Nighthawks. He says, "What's up, Rod? Hell, we may have to try and make room for my guy Khalil in Vegas." Yeah, we're very big in Vegas, especially in prime time, Coach Mike Davis of the Vegas Nighthawks. Brian from Vancouver writes in. He says, "Nice to see you last night, Rod. Great atmosphere last night." Oh, yeah, go check my social media. We were at the CFL game last night, and it was big fun at BC Place Stadium. Where you were watching FIFA games out of there, that's where we were. Real good crowd there last night. Vintage Sasko writes in. He says, "That crowd at BC Place last night looked fantastic. Can't wait for Riders Lions in September. LFG." There are other sports things going on. So I said viewer takeover. We can do that right up until the top of the hour. But I thought Khalil Carter did a really good job. Here's the interesting thing, and I don't really necessarily understand it, but Khalil Carter, he was never on a team that I was with as the voice of the team. But somehow or another, he had my number. We've kept in touch, and it's good. All these guys, Felwell, Lule, Pinball. I never worked with any of them. But that's the one thing, the Rider Nation, which there was a lot of them last night, and it was awesome, and we had a great time. Some are having a tough time understanding that I just want to be a fan of the whole league. And that's why it was so nice to be able to come out here to Vancouver for a weekend and go to a game and go to the Lions practice facility and hang out with their people. I'll go to other places and do the exact same thing. It's as my guy Ryan Fournier said, who I just met at Lions practice on Saturday. One love. Why can't we have that? That's what I want. Sports update on this, what day is it? Monday? We won't talk about the 49ers owner. You're going to see that everywhere else. 49ers owner Jed York jailed on a prostitution-related charge in Cleveland. Not good. World number one, Yannick Sinner withdrew from, speaking of sinners, Yannick Sinner withdrew from the season's final Grand Slam due to the knee injury that's kept him out since winning Wimbledon. Carlos Alcaraz and Serena Williams are teaming up in mixed doubles. The Phillies are on some kind of roll, winning their 9th straight game on Sunday despite trailing the Cardinals 4-0 with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th. The hero? Who else but Kyle Schwarber, who crushed a walk-off bomb for his MLB-leading 39th home run. By the way, when Scruffy said the Cardinals blew it, that's what he was talking about, not the Arizona Cardinals. It's confusing enough having 2 teams named the Cardinals in big-time sports, Arizona Cardinals, St. Louis Cardinals. Can you imagine they played in the same city at one time, the baseball team and the NFL team? 2 minutes already? Oh, my God, it's going so fast. Thank you, by the way, to our downtown Vancouver hotel for hosting the RP show. They've done such a lovely job. Klay Thompson is signing a 2-year, $13 million deal with the Miami Heat after agreeing to a buyout with the Mavericks. DeMar DeRozan is signing a 1-year deal with the Nuggets for $3.9 million, the veteran minimum. I feel like this is old news, but I just realized this came out in the Monday newsletter that I get from yahoo.com Monday to Friday. So it's a nice weekend recap. McLaren's Lando Norris won Sunday's Dutch Grand Prix, giving the reigning F1 champion back-to-back victories. Mercedes' Kimi Antonelli finished second to maintain a sizable lead atop the standings. And a two-legged machine finished the 100-meter race in 9.39 seconds at the World Humanoid Robot Games in Beijing, besting Usain Bolt's world record of 9.58 seconds set in 2009. To that, I would say, how about that? The sports update brought to you by our friends at Ultimate Fan Zone, your authentic MLB fan store for official jerseys, hats, t-shirts, hoodies, and more. Game day every day at UFZ. I got to say, I do get all of my stuff there except for splashy on-sale Under Armour merch. If this thing doesn't scream RP, I don't know what does. And that's a nice little roadie up to Cross Iron Mills. I'll tell you a funny story about that Cross Iron Mills. It's Randy Moeller's brother. The Florida Panthers' great and current broadcaster is the general manager of them all, Cross Iron Mills in Calgary. So I went up there on Sunday. The whole store, Under Armour, half off. I loaded up. We'll be right back with Overtime right after this.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too. Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. All right, well, this is going to go by in a jiff. It's Overtime, brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes. I know that because I got so many comments from you all that it'll take us right to the top of the hour. But hey, I hope you enjoyed our show last week live from Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. People are like, you look so cold in there. You were all bundled up. It's summer. I'm like, it's a hockey shooting facility. What do you expect? Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, 28th Street, Northeast Calgary. I had such a great time there. Just talking about Cross Iron Mills. So Randy Moeller is like one of the most gregarious, funniest people I've ever met in my life. So I'm standing there with Colin Pedersen, who was with me at Overtime Hockey Lanes. We were sitting at the table just like this. And I said, I'm going to go up to Cross Iron Mills today, and I'm going to go try and find Randy Moeller's brother, because Randy tells me his brother manages that place. And Colin goes, well, you know Mike, right? The other brother? I'm like, yeah. He's a broadcaster for the Red Deer Rebels, former player. He goes, yeah, those two guys are both yappy. He goes, I'm sure the third brother, probably an introvert. Just the way Patter said it. And he wasn't there. Wasn't in his office. Which, speaking of, I'm kind of surprised that a lot of you have not asked. Like, for instance, Eric in Virginia writes in and says, not that I'm your travel agent, Rod, but go check on the Argos before you head back down to Florida. Well, here's the thing. I was invited out here by the Lions, and I had people to see and things to do, and it all worked in perfectly. But I haven't been invited by the Argos. So I'm kind of, I appreciate the thought, but I've got the Ryder Bomber Labor Day Classic Alumni Golf Weekend. It's a whole weekend. I'm emceeing all those festivities, and then heading out there. Arlen Bruce checks in. BC Lions alum. He says, I would definitely move to Ottawa and work with the great Jim Pop. He is like a football magician. See, AB is saying he wants to go work for the Red Blacks. You got Khalil Carter saying, I want to work anywhere. Have you noticed yet? There's a whole lot of guys and a very small amount of jobs. And that's just in the football game. You guys were talking about the Vancouver media out here. I feel like it's way, way worse in the media world. And I'm just incredibly lucky. What do they say? If there's not a seat at the table, build your own table. That's what we did. We're so lucky you've been able to do that. The news of the day. I'm just reading more. San Francisco 49ers owner John Jed York was arrested over the weekend in East Palestine, Ohio. York was initially charged with engaging in prostitution, but prosecutors later amended that charge to disorderly conduct. He was also charged with possessing criminal tools. York pleaded no contest to both misdemeanor charges today. He was sentenced to 1 day in jail on each count, served concurrently with credit for time already served, and fined a total of $1,150. So like I say, who's having a worst day today? Roger Goodell. Oh, boy. Now, speaking of good owners, though, I'm surprised nobody's asked me yet about Amar Doman, the owner of the BC Lions. He's the guy that invited me out here in the first place. I didn't meet Amar. He said, come find me for a photo. So went to find him, and he was out of the suite. I met his son, however. I did meet his son. So thank you, Dwayne Vino, the president of the BC Lions, for lining that all up. It's games are a gong show. That's the one thing the fans don't understand. It's work. For those people, it's work. It wasn't really work for me. I said to Janice, this ain't work. She's like, no, it's not. Not for me. Jeff the Stamps fan says, what's a criminal tool? You. BW from Edmonton says, thank God for a rewind on YouTube. Glad you had a great time in Van City. Yeah, I've had a great time in Van City. We'll be back on the air, God willing, from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, Tuesday. That's the plan, if the travel plans work. 902-518-3033. Wayne writes in, he's watching in Victoria. I enjoyed Khalil Carter on the RP show. You're right, Rod. He's a well-spoken guy. I hope someone hires him. He asked if he could come on and say his piece, and that's the one thing the sports people have realized. That's what we're here for. We're in season 8, providing platforms to people that wouldn't otherwise get the opportunity, and it's worked quite well. I said, be respectful. I knew he would. Kirk in Toronto writes in. Says, sports writer Steve Simmons says, missing the CNE game and the food building really sucks. I don't even know what that means, but thank you, Kirk. Brent from the Bridge City says, the owner of the 49ers sounds like a tool. Right? Tomorrow's going to be fun, just to line up the week. The Hall of Fame voice of the Columbus Blue Jackets and Florida Panthers, Jeff Rimmer, is going to be on the show. Originally from Calgary and Toronto, Jeff Rimmer is going to be on with us tomorrow, talking about his new book that's coming out. Jeff Rimmer, you know him, you love him. He's been on this show before. And David Benefield on Wednesday wants to talk about his son, Ty Benefield of the LSU Tigers, SEC, being named the #1 draft prospect for the CFL draft in 2027. David Benefield, longtime friend of mine, Mr. Furious, BC Lions great. Arlen Bruce writes in, I got you, AB. He says, my top 5 BC Lions quarterbacks of all time: 1, Damon Allen; 2, Travis Lulay; 3, Mike Riley; 4, Casey Prentice; 5, Nathan Rourke. You're welcome. You pretty much named them all. I couldn't name any others besides those 5, but we did see a real nice vintage, not vintage. Nathan, that's the thing. Appreciate what you're watching. Nathan Rourke, who I call WestJet, and I really like the fact that that's caught on. I've kind of stopped calling him that. Now everybody else is calling him that. WestJet actually wrote me on the weekend and said, enjoy the game, Rod, and thank you for calling Nathan Rourke WestJet. I have the screenshots. Enjoy what you're watching, including this show, because one day we'll be vintage, as will Nathan Rourke. So Jeff Rimmer tomorrow, David Benefield Wednesday, and I don't know after that. I just need to get home. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in today to the RP show, and we'll see you tomorrow.
That